The wood of my front door didn't just splinter, it exploded. One second, I was pouring orange juice for my 8-year-old niece Lily in the sun-drenched kitchen of my cabin. The next, the deafening crack of a battering ram echoed through the Smoky Mountains silence, followed immediately by the blinding flash of a stun grenade. "Police! Get on the ground! Now! Now!" The voices were a wall of sound, overlapping, aggressive, and terrified. Red laser dots danced across my chest, across the vintage oak table, across the juice carton that slipped from my numb fingers and shattered on the floor. I didn't scream. My brain simply couldn't process the visual data. Men in heavy tactical gear, SWAT vests, and assault rifles were swarming my living room, the sanctuary I had built to escape the very chaos they were bringing in. "Jessica Miller, show me your hands." I raised them, trembling. "It's just me," I whispered, my voice cracking. "It's just me and a child." "Secure the hostage," one officer bellowed. Hostage? I looked over at Lily. She wasn't running to me. She was curled into a ball under the kitchen island, her hands over her ears, her eyes wide with a terror that seemed practiced. An officer slammed me against the wall. Cold steel cuffs bit into my wrists, pinching the skin. "You are under arrest for the kidnapping and extortion of a minor." As they dragged me out the door, past my ruined entryway, I saw a familiar sedan pull up behind the fleet of police cruisers. My mother, Linda, stumbled out, clutching her chest. My father, Robert, was right behind her, his face a mask of red fury. "Mom," I gasped, instinctively looking for comfort. She looked at me as they shoved me into the back of the cruiser. She didn't look worried. She looked disgusted. "You monster," she mouthed. "Tell them where you hid her." The door slammed shut, sealing me in with the smell of stale coffee and fear. To understand how I ended up in handcuffs, accused of stealing the only family member I actually tolerated, we have to go back exactly 24 hours. It was 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. I live in a smart cabin I designed myself. As a landscape architect, I value integration with nature. But as the scapegoat of the Miller family, I value isolation. My phone was on Do Not Disturb, but I have a bypass setting for emergencies. When it rang, shattering the peace of the night, the screen lit up with the name I dreaded most: Sarah, my older sister, the golden child, the woman who could set a house on fire and convince our parents I was the one playing with matches. I almost let it go to voicemail. I should have let it go to voicemail. But the conditioning runs deep. When you spend 30 years being the responsible one, the fixer, the family ATM, you answer the phone. "Jess, pick up! Oh God, Jess!" Her voice was ragged, hyperventilating. Sarah was a drama queen, but this sounded different, primal. "Sarah, what's wrong? Is it Mom?" "It's Mark," she sobbed. Mark was her husband, a decent man who made too much money and asked too few questions. He collapsed. It looks like a heart attack. The ambulance is here. I have to go with him." "Okay, breathe. Which hospital? I'll meet you there." "No," she shrieked. "No, you can't come. I need you to take Lily. I can't let her see her father like this, Jess. She's traumatized enough. Please, I'm driving to your cabin. I'm 5 minutes away." 5 minutes? You live 2 hours away. I was driving toward the specialist clinic in Knoxville when it happened. She lied. I knew it was a lie because the cadence of her voice pitched up. But in the moment, adrenaline overrides logic. "Please, Jessica, just for tonight, don't make me beg. My husband might be dying." That's how they get you. They weaponize basic human decency against you. 10 minutes later, headlights swept across my driveway. I met them on the porch. Sarah's Mercedes was idling loudly. She didn't even turn off the engine. She just opened the back door and practically pulled Lily out. Sarah looked frantic. Her hair was messy, her makeup smeared, but not in a crying over a dying husband way, more like a 3 days awake on a bender way. "Thank you, you're a lifesaver," Sarah said, avoiding my eyes. She didn't hug Lily, she didn't kiss her goodbye. She just shoved a small, expensive-looking backpack into my chest. Sarah, wait. What hospital? I need updates, I said, putting a hand on Lily's shoulder. The child felt rigid, like a piece of wood. St. Mary's, I'll call you. Don't let her check her phone. She's in shock. Wait, where are Lily's pajamas? Her toothbrush? In the bag. Just handle it, Jessica. For once, just be a sister and not an interrogator. She jumped back into the car. Tires spun on the gravel, kicking up dust and stones, and she sped off into the dark mountain roads, faster than anyone should drive, let alone a grieving wife. I looked down at Lily. She was clutching a ragged teddy bear I hadn't seen in years. She looked up at me, her eyes hollow in the porch light. "Is Daddy going to die?" she whispered. My heart broke. I knelt down, wrapping my cardigan around her. "No, honey." "Your daddy is strong. He's gonna be fine. Auntie Jess is here. I've got you." I led her inside, locking the door behind us. I thought I was locking out the cold. I didn't realize I had just locked myself inside a trap that had been set months ago. And as I sat in the back of that police cruiser, watching the SWAT team swarm my home, I realized the one thing I had missed. Sarah never looked back. Not once. The police cruiser smelled of industrial cleaner and stale sweat. As we wound down the mountain road, I closed my eyes, trying to force my mind back to the cabin, back to the hours before the battering ram. I needed to understand what I had missed. The evidence was there, I thought. It was right in front of me. After Sarah sped off into the night, leaving a cloud of dust and exhaust, I brought Lily into the living room. The cabin was warm, the fireplace casting a gentle amber glow, but Lily was shivering. "Are you hungry, sweetie? I can make grilled cheese or hot cocoa." Lily shook her head, staring at the floor. She was wearing a thick, oversized gray hoodie. It was mid-July in Tennessee. Even at night, it was 75 degrees. "You must be roasting in that, Lil. Let's get you into one of my t-shirts. It'll be like a dress on you," I said, trying to keep my voice light, cheerful, the cool aunt mask. I reached out to help her with the zipper. Lily flinched. It wasn't a subtle movement. It was a violent, full-body jerk, like she expected to be struck. She scrambled back onto the sofa, pulling her knees to her chest. "No," she yelped. "I'm cold. I want to keep it on." My stomach dropped. I froze, my hands hovering in the air. Okay, Lily, you can keep it on. I promise I won't touch you without asking." I sat on the coffee table, giving her space. I'm a landscape architect. My job is to notice details, to see how the light hits a slope, where the drainage is poor, where the foundation is cracking. I started looking at my niece, not as a child, but as a structure under stress. Her eyes were puffy, but not from fresh tears. They looked tired, with dark circles that no 8-year-old should have. Her hands, gripping the teddy bear, were trembling slightly. "Lily," I said softly, "did Mommy and Daddy have a fight?" She didn't answer. She just squeezed the bear tighter. "You know you can tell me anything. I'm not Mommy. I don't yell." She looked up then, and for a second, I saw a flash of something that looked like calculation, or maybe it was just intense fear. "Mommy said I have to be good," she whispered. "If I'm not good, Daddy won't get better." "That's not true, honey. Daddy's health has nothing to do with you being good." "Yes, it does," she snapped, her voice rising. "Mommy said everything costs money. Being sick costs money. Being bad costs money. If I'm bad, she has to pay, and then we have no money for the doctors." A chill went down my spine that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. This wasn't the logic of a child. This was a script. Someone had drilled this into her. Eventually, exhaustion won. Lily fell asleep on the sofa, refusing to go to the guest bedroom. I covered her with a light blanket. As she slept, the hoodie sleeve rode up her arm. I saw it then, a dark purple bruise on her forearm. It was ugly, shaped like thumbprints. Anger, hot and blinding, flared in my chest. "Sarah." I moved closer, needing to see the extent of it. I gently, ever so gently, lifted her wrist. There was another mark on her neck, just below the jawline, partially hidden by the hood. I pulled out my phone to take a picture. Documentation. That's what I do. I document sight conditions. If Sarah was hurting her, I needed proof. I wasn't going to let this slide like Mom and Dad always did. I zoomed in with my camera, the flash off. On the screen, the bruise looked odd. I lowered the phone and looked closer with my own eyes. The texture was wrong. It didn't have that slight swelling, that glossy tightness of injured skin. It looked matte. I reached out and touched the edge of the purple mark on her arm with my thumb. I rubbed, just a little. Pigment transferred onto my skin. It wasn't a bruise. It was makeup, specifically a high-pigment theatrical wheel. Blues and purples blended expertly to mimic trauma. My breath caught in my throat. Why? Why would an 8-year-old be painted with fake bruises? Was she playing pretend? Mommy did it, a small voice said. I jumped back. Lily was awake, watching me. Her eyes were terrified. Lily? Why did Mommy put makeup on you? She said it's for the game, Lily whispered, pulling her sleeve down aggressively. We're playing a game called Rescue. She said I had to look hurt so the game would work. What game? Who are we playing with? I don't know. She started to cry, genuine tears this time. She just said if I don't play, Daddy dies. Please don't wipe it off, Auntie Jess. Please. I don't want Daddy to die. I hugged her then, ignoring the stiffness of her body. My mind was racing. Rescue game? Fake bruises? Sarah dropping her off in the middle of the night? None of this made sense. Sarah was irresponsible, sure. She was a narcissist who spent money she didn't have and blamed everyone else for her failures. But this felt orchestrated. This felt like a movie plot gone wrong. I decided then and there that I wouldn't call Sarah. I would call Mark directly in the morning. I would get to the bottom of this. I stayed up all night, watching Lily sleep, feeling a heavy dread settle in my gut. I felt like I was standing on a fault line, waiting for the earthquake. But I was wrong. It wasn't an earthquake. It was an airstrike. And as the police car turned onto the highway, taking me toward the sea and away from the only evidence I had, the makeup on Lily's arm, I realized with a sick, sinking feeling, I had just walked right into the kill zone. The holding cell was painted a color I could only describe as despair gray. I sat on the metal bench, my hands still cuffed to the table. They had taken my shoelaces, my belt, and my dignity. But the worst part was the silence. I kept replaying the morning in my head, the gap between the rescue game revelation and the SWAT team. After Lily fell back asleep, I had tried to call Mark, straight to voicemail. I called the hospital Sarah mentioned, St. Mary's. I'm sorry, ma'am, we have no record of a Mark Sullivan being admitted to the ER or the cardiac unit last night. That was the first nail in the coffin. I called my parents. Dad, voicemail. Mom, voicemail. Then at 7 a.m., my phone pinged, a text message from my father. You are dead to us. Do not contact us. The police are handling this. I had stared at the screen, my coffee turning cold in my hand. Dead to us? Police? What story had Sarah spun? Had she told them I hurt Lily? I had turned to wake Lily up, to demand answers, but that's when the battering ram hit. Now, sitting in the interrogation room, the door buzzed open. Detective Miller walked in. He was a man made of rough edges, wrinkled suit, sandpaper stubble, and eyes that had seen too much human ugliness to trust anyone. He threw a file folder onto the metal table with a slap that echoed like a gunshot. You have the right to remain silent, he droned, sitting down opposite me. I know my rights, I said, my voice shaking but firm. I want to know where my niece is. I want to know why I was dragged out of my house like a terrorist. Miller leaned forward. He smelled of peppermint and stale tobacco. Your niece is in Child Protective Services custody, pending a medical exam, and you, Miss Miller, are in a lot of trouble. I didn't kidnap her. Sarah brought her to me. She begged me to take her. Miller sighed, looking bored. Yeah, we hear that a lot. The mother gave her to me. Except we have the 911 call from your sister. He pulled out a digital recorder and placed it on the table. Play it, I challenged. He pressed the button. Sarah's voice filled the small room, but it wasn't the frantic voice from last night. It was terrified, hushed, breathless. 911, please help. My sister, oh God, my sister Jessica took my daughter. She came to the house with a gun. She said if I didn't let her take Lily, she'll kill Mark. Please, she's crazy. She's been threatening us for money for months. She took her to the cabin in the mountains. Please don't hurt my baby. My mouth fell open. That is a lie. That is a complete fabrication. Check the traffic cams. You'll see her car driving to my cabin. We did check the traffic cams, Miller said, his eyes hard. Your sister's car was parked in her driveway all night. We have footage of your SUV leaving her neighborhood at 1:30 a.m. with a child in the passenger seat. What? No, my car has GPS. Check the log. We did. It puts you at the scene. I felt the room spin. How? I hadn't left the cabin in 3 days. My car... Then I remembered. 2 weeks ago, Sarah borrowed my SUV. Mine's in the shop, she'd said. Can I borrow the Explorer for a few days? I need the space for a Costco run. She must have cloned the key fob or messed with the GPS transponder. This is insane, I whispered. Why would I do this? I have a career. I have money. Why would I kidnap my own niece? Miller smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Because of the ransom, Jessica, $500,000, sent via a secure voice message to your brother-in-law, Mark. I never sent any message. Really? Miller tapped the recorder again. Then explained this. A new track played, and my blood turned to ice. It was my voice. Not an impression, not a similar-sounding actress. It was my voice. The inflection, the slight gravel in the morning, the way I emphasize my T's. Listen to me, Mark. I have Lily. She's safe for now. But if you want to see her again, you're going to transfer $500,000 to the crypto wallet I texted you. Do not call the police. Do not tell Sarah until the money is sent. If you try to track me, the girl disappears. I'm tired of being the poor sister, Mark. Pay up. Silence filled the room as the recording ended. I stared at the recorder, horror washing over me. That's not me. I never said those words. Voice analysis says it's a 99.8% match, Miller said, closing the folder. We found the crypto wallet address on a sticky note in your home office. Plant! I screamed, slamming my hands on the table. She planted it. She dropped Lily off. She must have left it them. Can't you see? She framed me. The door buzzed again. I looked up, hoping for a lawyer, hoping for sanity. Instead, my parents walked in. They didn't look at me with concern. They looked at me with a hatred so pure it burned. Mom? Dad? I choked out. Please, you have to believe me. It's Sarah. She's lying. My mother walked up to the table. Her hands were shaking. She clutched her pearl necklace like a lifeline. We gave you everything, she hissed. We paid for your college. We supported your little nature architecture business. And this is how you repay us? By terrorizing your sister? By traumatizing an innocent child for money? I didn't... Shut up, my father roared. He was a small man, but his anger filled the room. We heard the recording, Jessica. We know it's you. You've always been jealous of Sarah. Jealous of her marriage, jealous of her beauty, jealous of her daughter because you're almost 35 and alone. I'm not jealous, I cried, tears streaming down my face. I'm the one who pays her bills. I'm the one who bailed her out when she crashed her car. I'm the ATM, remember? Lies, Mother slapped the table. Sarah told us everything, how you've been extorting her, how you threatened to hurt Lily if she told us. We tried to protect you, Jessica. We thought it was just a phase. But this? Kidnapping? She leaned in close, her eyes wet but cold. You are a rot in this family. I hope they lock you away forever. Something inside me broke. It wasn't a loud break. It was a quiet, sharp snap, like a dry twig in winter. For 34 years, I had chased their approval. I had cleaned up Sarah's messes, loaned money I knew I'd never get back, and smiled through every Thanksgiving insult about my dirty job and my single status. I had been the martyr, the dutiful daughter. And in 1 second, looking into the eyes of the woman who gave birth to me, seeing her absolute willingness to believe I was a monster based on nothing but Sarah's word, the love died. The grief evaporated. The tears stopped. I wiped my face with my cuffed hands. I sat up straight. My spine felt like steel. I looked at Detective Miller, ignoring my parents completely. "Detective," I said. My voice was no longer shaking. It was cold, clinical. "Remove these civilians from the room. They are compromising an active investigation." My father gasped. "How dare you?" "Get out," I said, not shouting, but with enough force that he flinched. "I am invoking my right to counsel. I want Elena Rossetti, now." "You don't need a lawyer. You need to confess," Mom shrieked. "Detective Miller," I said, locking eyes with him, "if you don't remove them in 10 seconds, my lawyer will have a field day with police procedure regarding the harassment of a suspect in custody." Miller looked at me. He saw the shift. He saw the victim vanish and something else, something dangerous, take her place. "You heard her," Miller said, standing up. "Mr. and Mrs. Miller, please step out." As the door closed on my parents' stunned faces, I didn't feel sad. I felt light. They wanted a villain? Fine. I would be the villain who tore their precious lie apart. The room was quiet again, but the air had changed. Detective Miller sat back down, studying me with renewed interest. "Elena Rossetti," he mused. "The shark from downtown? Expensive taste for someone who just claimed to be innocent." Innocence is expensive, detective, especially when your own family is the prosecution. I leaned back, the metal chair digging into my spine. "Now let's talk about that recording." "What about it?" "It's too clean," I said. "I'm a landscape architect. I spend my days on construction sites. My voice is usually hoarse from shouting over excavators. In that recording, my pitch was perfect. The cadence was rhythmic. It sounded like reading or assembly." Miller raised an eyebrow. "Assembly? Deepfake audio. AI generation." You feed a program a few hours of someone's voice, and you can make them say anything. My sister's boyfriend, her trainer, is an audio engineer. Did you know that? Miller didn't blink, but his finger twitched on the table. A tell. "We're looking into all associates." "Look harder. His name is Ryan. He installed the surround sound system in my cabin last month. He had access to my voice command logs, hours of me talking to my smart house. Lights on, order groceries, play jazz. He has my phonemes, detective." "That's a nice theory, Jessica, but juries love audio evidence, and they hate kidnappers." "And what about the bruises?" I asked, leaning in. "Did you examine Lily? Did you wipe the bruises with a wet wipe?" Miller paused. "The medical examiner is with her now." "Good. Because when they wipe that theatrical makeup off her arm, your case falls apart." The door opened. A woman in a sharp navy suit walked in. Her heels clicked on the linoleum like gunfire. Elena Rossetti, my college roommate, my best friend, and the terrifyingest lawyer in Tennessee. "Detective Miller," she said, not offering a hand, "you're holding my client on circumstantial evidence and hearsay. I've seen the warrant. It's flimsy." "We have a confession on tape, counselor." "You have a digital file of questionable origin," Elena countered, dropping her briefcase on the table. "And unless you have a time-stamped video of my client holding a gun to her sister's head, you're not keeping her here past the arraignment." She turned to me, her eyes softening just a fraction. "Jess, you okay?" "I'm done crying, Elle. I want to burn them down." Elena smirked. "That's the spirit. Bail hearing is in an hour. I've already called the judge. We're getting you out." The bail hearing was a blur. The prosecutor demanded no bail, citing flight risk and danger to the community. Elena countered with my lack of criminal record, my business ties to the community, and the fact that the victim, Lily, was physically unharmed. The judge set bail at $100,000. "I'll put up the deed to the cabin," I whispered to Elena. "No need," she said. "Mark paid it." I froze. Mark? My brother-in-law? Anonymous donor via a trust, technically, but I know the accounts. It's Mark. He might not be totally bought into Sarah's story. That was the first crack in the wall. 2 hours later, I walked out of the precinct. The sun was blinding. I expected a media circus, but it was quiet. Sarah was saving the circus for later, I realized. Elena drove me back to her apartment. "You can't go to the cabin. It's a crime scene." "I need my laptop, Elena, my backup server. The police took my desktop, but they didn't take the hidden drive in the floor safe. They wouldn't know it's there. If you go there, you violate bail conditions." "I have remote access," I realized. "I just need a terminal." We set up in Elena's dining room. I logged into my cloud account. My cabin is a fortress of technology. Cameras in the eaves, microphones in the hallway, motion sensors in the driveway. "Okay," I muttered, typing furiously. Let's see what really happened last night. I pulled up the timeline for 2 a.m. yesterday. File corrupted. My heart stopped. No. I checked the backup. Data deleted. Someone wiped it, I said, feeling sick. Someone accessed the cloud server directly and scrubbed the footage from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Elena peered over my shoulder. "Can you trace the deletion?" "I can try, but whoever did this knew exactly where to look. They knew my passwords." "Sarah doesn't know tech," Elena said. "No," I agreed, "but Ryan does." I dug deeper into the logs. The deletion command didn't come from inside the house. It came from an IP address in downtown Knoxville. "I have an IP," I said, my fingers flying. "I'm running a trace route." The ping came back. It was a commercial address. Sonic Wave Studios. "Ryan," I said, a cold smile forming on my lips. "Got you." "Okay," Elena said, pacing. "We can prove someone tampered with the evidence, but that doesn't prove you didn't do it. It just proves you have a smart accomplice, or Sarah does. We need more." "I need to talk to Mark," I said. "He paid my bail. He's doubting her." "You have a restraining order, Jess. You can't talk to him." "Then on up to the one person Sarah can't control," I said. "Ryan." "That's dangerous." "I'm looking at 20 years in prison, Elena. Dangerous is my new baseline." I stood up. "I need to know why. Why did Sarah need $500,000 so badly that she'd frame her own sister and terrorize her daughter? Mark makes good money, but they live lavishly. Are they in debt?" Elena pulled a file from her briefcase. "I ran a credit check on Sarah this morning. It's colorful." I opened the file. Red ink everywhere. Maxed out credit cards, a second mortgage on their house that Mark probably didn't know about. And "What is this?" I pointed to a recurring withdrawal. $5,000 a week to Golden Chips LLC? "Online gambling," Elena said grimly. "High-stakes poker and slots. Your sister isn't just broke, Jess. She's a whale." I did the math. The mortgage, the cards, the gambling. She didn't need the ransom for the kidnapper, I realized. She needed the ransom for herself. She stole from somewhere, maybe Lily's trust fund, and she needs to replace it before Mark finds out. "The audit," Elena said. "Mark's company does annual audits of family trusts for tax purposes. It's coming up next month." The puzzle pieces clicked into place with a sickening sound. Sarah had gambled away her daughter's future. To cover it up, she staged a kidnapping to extort the money from her husband, blaming me so she could play the victim and keep her hands clean. It was brilliant. It was evil. "I'm going to destroy her," I said. "Not with violence," Elena warned. "With receipts." "Oh, I'll get receipts," I said, grabbing my keys. "I'm going to pay a visit to the sound guy." The drive to Sonic Wave Studios was a blur of adrenaline and calculation. My mind wasn't on the road. It was constructing a narrative, brick by brick, just like I constructed landscapes. Foundation: Sarah is a gambling addict. Structure: she drained Lily's trust fund. Facade: The kidnapping set up to get Mark's money to refill the fund. Weak point, Ryan. Ryan was the technician, the labor. Sarah never got her hands dirty. She charmed people into doing the heavy lifting. Ryan was probably in love with her, or lust, or whatever version of affection Sarah allowed him to have. I parked my rental car, a nondescript sedan Elena loaned me, down the street from the studio. It was a converted warehouse in the trendy part of Knoxville. Brick walls, exposed ductwork, expensive coffee nearby. I didn't go in guns blazing. I watched. An hour passed. I saw clients come and go. Then, around 6 p.m., a man walked out. Tall, messy bun, vintage t-shirt. Ryan. He looked nervous. He was checking his phone constantly, looking over his shoulder. He lit a cigarette, his hand shaking slightly. He's scared, I thought. Good. I waited until he walked toward his car, a beat-up Honda Civic. I stepped out of the shadows. Hey, Ryan. He jumped about a foot in the air, dropping his cigarette. When he saw me, his face went pale. Jessica? Jesus, you're supposed to be in jail. Ale is a beautiful thing, I said, stepping closer. We need to talk about my surround sound system and the deep fake you made. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered, backing up against his car door. Stay away from me. Sarah said you're crazy. Sarah says a lot of things. Did she tell you she's accusing you of being the mastermind? It was a bluff. A total shot in the dark, but with narcissists like Sarah, the betrayal is always inevitable. Ryan froze. What? I saw the police report. I lied smoothly. She told Detective Miller that she came to you for help because she was scared of me, and you suggested the ransom. She's painting you as the extortionist, Ryan. She says you forced her to go along with it. That bitch, Ryan shouted, his eyes wide. She came to me. She was crying about debt sharks. She said they were going to hurt Lily if she didn't pay up. Bingo. Debt sharks? I pressed, keeping my voice calm. So the kidnapping was her idea to pay off gambling debts. She promised me 50 grand, Ryan spat, pacing on the sidewalk. She said it was a victimless crime. Mark has insurance. He has money. She just needed to move funds around. She told me to make the recording using your voice samples from the install job. She said you were in on it, that you agreed to be the villain for a cut. My jaw clenched. She told you I agreed to this? Yeah, she said you wanted to get back at your parents. That's why I did it. I wouldn't frame an innocent person. Ryan, I said, stepping into his personal space. I was arrested by a SWAT team. My niece is in foster care. I am facing 20 years. Does that look like I was in on it? Ryan slumped against his car, head in his hands. Oh God, I'm going to jail. Not necessarily, I said. If you turn witness, if you give me the original files, the project files showing you editing my voice. The texts where Sarah asked you to do it. He looked up, hope warring with fear. She'll kill me. She knows people. She knows blackjack dealers, Ryan. She's not the mafia. But the district attorney, he knows people. And right now, you're the accessory to a felony, unless you're the whistleblower. He hesitated. I deleted the project files from the server. She made me watch her do it. But you're an audio engineer, I said. You have backups, external drives. You wouldn't delete your work completely. It's your portfolio. He managed a weak smile. It was some of my best work. The pitch correction was flawless. Give it to me. I can't give it to you, but I can keep it safe until I know I won't go down for this. Ryan, listen to me. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. He looked at it and paled even further. It's her, he whispered. She wants to meet, tonight, at the old quarry. The quarry? I frowned. That's deserted. Why there? She says she has my money, the 50 grand. Ryan, I said urgently, do not go there. There is no money. Sarah is broke. If she's asking you to a secluded location right now, she's tying up loose ends. He swallowed hard. You think? I think she's desperate, and desperate people do terrible things. I grabbed his arm. Here's the plan. You don't go. You go to my lawyer's office. We depose you. You get immunity. He pulled away. I need to think. I need to verify what you said about her blaming me. Ryan. He jumped into his car and locked the doors. I'll call you. I just need to check something. He peeled out, leaving me standing on the sidewalk. Idiot, I hissed. I ran to my rental car. I couldn't let him go. He was my only hard evidence. If he got spooked and ran, or if Sarah got to him. I followed the taillights of his Civic. He wasn't going to the lawyer. He was heading toward the highway, toward the quarry. He's going to meet her, I realized with a surge of panic. He's going for the money. I dialed Elena. Jess, where are you? Following the audio guy, he's heading to the quarry to meet Sarah. She promised him money. Jess, turn around. That's dangerous. Let the police handle it. The police think I'm the kidnapper, Elena. They won't listen to me if I say my sister is meeting her accomplice. They'll think I'm stalking her. Don't engage, Elena warned. Just observe. Record everything. I'm an architect, Elle. I observe for a living. I hung up and sped up. The sun was setting, casting long, bloody shadows across the road. I was about to crash my sister's party, and I had a feeling the rescue game was about to enter level 2. The quarry was a scar on the landscape, a massive pit of gray stone and stagnant water about 10 miles outside of town. It was officially closed, fenced off with no trespassing signs that teenagers and drug dealers ignored daily. I parked the sedan in a cluster of trees about a quarter mile from the entrance. I couldn't risk Sarah seeing my headlights. I grabbed my phone and a heavy Maglite flashlight from the glove box, not for light, but for weight. I moved through the woods. The air was thick with humidity and the sound of cicadas. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I reached the ridge overlooking the main clearing. Below, illuminated by the headlights of a Mercedes, stood Sarah. She looked impeccable. Even here, in a dirt pit, she was wearing a white trench coat and heels. She looked like a movie star. Ryan's Honda pulled up slowly. He got out, looking small and terrified. I pulled out my phone and started recording video. The zoom was grainy in the low light, but the audio carried well in the rock bowl. Did you bring it? Ryan's voice echoed. Hello to you too, darling, Sarah said, her voice smooth like poisoned honey. Yes, I have it, in the trunk. I want to see it. Cash, small bills. Impatient, Sarah tisked. She walked to the trunk of her Mercedes. She popped it open. From my vantage point, I couldn't see inside, but I saw Ryan's body language relax. He stepped closer. Okay, Ryan said. Okay, give it to me and I give you the hard drive, the only copy. The hard drive, Sarah repeated. You brought it? Right here. Ryan patted his jacket pocket. Sarah smiled. It was a smile I knew well. It was the smile she wore when she cheated at Monopoly. You know, Ryan, she said, leaving the trunk open but not reaching for money. You've been very useful, but Jessica is making things difficult. She made bail. I know, Ryan said. She came to see me. Sarah froze. She did? What did she say? She said you're pinning it on me, that you told the cops I forced you. Sarah laughed. A bright, tinkling sound that sent shivers down my spine. Oh, Ryan, of course I didn't tell them yet. But I have to tell them something, don't I? The evil sister narrative is good, but the manipulated wife coerced by a dangerous criminal narrative, that tests better with focus groups. You are setting me up, Ryan realized, backing away. Jessica was right. Jessica is always right, Sarah snapped, her mask slipping. It's so annoying, Miss Perfect, Miss Responsibility. She has everything, Ryan, the career, the respect, the freedom, and she hoards it. She wouldn't loan me a dime for the debts. I had to take it. Give me the money, Sarah. There is no money, you idiot, Sarah screamed. She reached into the trunk, but she didn't pull out a bag of cash. She pulled out a tire iron. The money is gone, she yelled, advancing on him. It's all gone. The slots, the tables, it's gone. I needed Mark's money to fix it, but you and your stupid deepfake weren't convincing enough. Mark hesitated. He called the bank instead of the crypto exchange. "You said it was a sure thing," Ryan shouted, backing up until he hit his car. "It would have been if you hadn't messed up the audio artifacts, and now Jessica is sniffing around." Sarah swung the tire iron. It hit the side mirror of Ryan's Civic, shattering it. Ryan scrambled, trying to get into his car, but he dropped his keys in panic. "Give me the drive," Sarah screeched. She wasn't the golden child anymore. She was a cornered animal. I knew I had to act. I had the confession on video. I had the assault. "Hey!" I screamed from the ridge, shining the flashlight beam directly into Sarah's eyes. "Sarah!" She shielded her eyes, blinded. "Who's there?" "It's the ghost of Christmas past, you psychopath!" I yelled, adrenaline making me reckless. "I'm live streaming this to the police." I wasn't, but she didn't know that. "Jessica?" She sounded shocked. Ryan took the opportunity. He grabbed his keys from the dirt, dove into his car, and reversed blindly. He clipped Sarah's bumper, spun around, and tore out of the quarry, leaving a cloud of dust. Sarah stood there, tire iron in hand, chest heaving. She looked up at my light. "You ruined everything," she screamed at me. "You always ruin everything." "It's over, Sarah," I shouted back. "I have you on video. I have Ryan." "Turn yourself in." She laughed. It was a manic, broken sound. "You think a video matters?" she yelled. "Mom and Dad won't watch it. Mark won't believe it. I'm the victim, Jessica. I'm the grieving mother. You're just the jealous spinster who snapped." She threw the tire iron into the trunk, slammed it shut, and got into her car. "Go ahead," she yelled out the window. "Show the police. Tell them you stalked me here. Tell them you threatened me. Who are they going to believe? The woman with the crying child, or the woman with the handcuffs?" She sped off, chasing Ryan or just fleeing, I didn't know. I stood there in the dark, my phone still recording the empty dust cloud. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the device. She was right about one thing. Perception is reality. And right now, her perception was winning. But she was wrong about something else. She thought I was just the jealous spinster. She forgot one thing about me. I build things for a living, which means I know how to tear them down. I dialed Elena. "I got it," I said, breathless. "I got her admitting the gambling, admitting the setup, and attempting to assault Ryan." "Get to my office," Elena said. "Now, we need to file this before she spins a new story." "One more thing," I said, looking at the tire tracks. "Ryan got away. He has the hard drive, the master files." "If he's smart, he's running," Elena said. "No," I said, remembering the look on his face. "He's not running. He's looking for leverage. He's going to try to sell that drive to Mark." "To Mark?" "Yeah. Mark is the one with the money. If I can get to Mark first—" "Restraining order, Jess." "I know, but tomorrow is Sunday. Mark takes Lily, well, usually takes Lily to the park by the river. If I can't talk to Mark, maybe I can send a message. How?" I looked at the massive digital billboard overlooking the highway exit, visible from Mark's penthouse balcony. "I'm going to use the one thing Sarah loves most," I said grimly, "her public image." The next morning, the world exploded again. But this time, it wasn't a battering ram. It was a press conference. I sat in Elena's office, watching the large flat-screen TV. Every local news channel was carrying it live. Breaking news: Mother speaks out on kidnapping ordeal. There she was. Sarah stood on the steps of the courthouse, flanked by our parents. She wore a modest blue dress, very suffering Madonna. No makeup, hair pulled back. Mark stood slightly behind her, looking pale and hollowed out. She gripped the microphone with trembling hands. "I just want to thank the community for their prayers," Sarah said, her voice breaking perfectly on cue. "My sister, Jessica, she has always been troubled. We tried to get her help. We loved her, but jealousy is a sickness." Camera flashes went off like lightning. "She used my daughter," Sarah continued, wiping a tear. "She used my innocent Lily as a pawn to extract money from my husband. It breaks my heart to say this, but I don't think my sister should ever walk free again. We are asking the district attorney to pursue the maximum sentence." My mother stepped up, putting a hand on Sarah's shoulder. "We stand by Sarah. Jessica has been difficult since she was a child. We just won our granddaughter Stafe. I threw a stress ball at the TV. It bounced off Sarah's pixelated face. Unbelievable, I growled. She's literally auditioning for a soap opera. Elena was taking notes. This is bad for the jury pool. They're poisoning public opinion. But look at Mark. I looked. Mark wasn't looking at Sarah with sympathy. He was looking at his phone. He looked annoyed. He knows something, I said. He hesitated on the ransom. He knows about the money. We need to get that hard drive from Ryan, Elena said. It's the only thing that trumps this performance. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? She tried to kill me, Ryan's voice. He sounded wrecked. I saw, I said. I was there. I have it on video, Ryan. You do? He exhaled, a long, shaky sound. Look, I'm done. I'm not going down for attempted extortion. She's crazy. She came to my apartment this morning banging on the door. Where are you? I'm at the bus station. I'm leaving town. Do not leave town, I snapped. If you leave, you look guilty. Bring me the drive. I'll give it to Elena. We'll cut a deal. You walk away with probation. I can't trust you. You can trust that I hate her more than you do, I said. Meet me. Not at a quarry, a public place. The mall food court. Noon. There was a long pause. If I see a cop, I flush the drive. No cops. Just me and my lawyer. Okay. Noon. I hung up. We're on. Elena stood up. I'll drive. But Jess, Sarah's press conference just escalated things. She's practically daring us to fight back. She thinks she's won, I said. That's her weakness. She stops looking for threats when she thinks she's the queen. We arrived at the mall early. We sat in the corner of the food court, watching the entrance. At 11:55, Ryan walked in. He was wearing a hoodie and sunglasses. He looked like every bad spy movie cliché. He sat down, sliding a small black SSD across the table. It's all there, he whispered. The raw audio of you speaking to your house, the project file showing the edits, and something else. What else? I asked, grabbing the drive. She sent me voice notes. Instructions on how to make Lily sound scared. Tell her to whimper more, she said. Pinch her if you have to. My blood ran cold. She told you to pinch Lily? I didn't do it, Ryan said quickly. I swear, I just edited the breathing to sound like crying. But Sarah, she's sick, man. We have enough, Elena said, securing the drive. This gets you immunity, Ryan, but you have to testify. Fine, just keep her away from me. As we stood up to leave, I saw something on the bank of TVs in the electronics store across the way. The news was back on. Update. Suspect Jessica Miller violates bail. The screen showed a grainy photo of me at the quarry. What? I gasped. Police received anonymous photos of Jessica Miller stalking the victim at a secluded location last night, the anchor said. Sarah, she had taken a picture of me on the ridge before she sped off. She spun it. She turned my surveillance into stalking. She's fast, Elena muttered. We need to get this drive to the DA immediately. Wait, I said, looking at the screen. The photo was dark. You could barely see me, but you could clearly see. Look at the timestamp, I said. 8:45 p.m. So, at 8:45 p.m., Sarah claimed on her police report, I read it, that she was at home comforting Lily. Elena's eyes widened. If she's in the photo at the quarry, then she lied to the police about her whereabouts, filing a false report. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. She just handed us the rope, Elena. Now let's help her tie the knot. We go to the police station, Elena said. We bypass Miller. We go straight to the captain. No, I said. We go to court. Tomorrow is the hearing for Lily's temporary custody. Sarah thinks she's walking in there to be crowned Mother of the Year. I want to play this video there. That's risky. The judge might not allow surprise evidence. It's not surprise evidence, I said. It's rebuttal. She's going to claim I'm dangerous. I'm going to prove she's the danger. I looked at the hard drive in my hand. It felt light, but it held the weight of my entire life. Tomorrow, I said, we end this. The morning of the custody hearing, The sky was a bruised purple, heavy with rain. It felt appropriate. I met Elena at the courthouse steps. She looked fierce in her power suit. I wore a simple gray blazer. I wanted to look like the calm center of the storm. "Are you ready?" Elena asked. I was born ready. I just didn't know the war had started until 3 days ago. We walked in. The hallway was crowded. Sarah was there, surrounded by her entourage, mom, dad, and a high-priced family lawyer she definitely couldn't afford, probably paid for by Mark. When Sarah saw me, she smirked. She actually smirked. She whispered something to Mom, and they both glared. Then I saw Mark. He was standing apart from them, staring out the window. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in a week. "I need to talk to him," I told Elena. "Jess, don't. I have to." I walked over. Sarah's lawyer stepped forward to block me. "Ms. Miller, stay back." "I'm not talking to your client," I said. "I'm talking to my brother-in-law." "Mark," I called out. He turned. His eyes were red-rimmed. "Jess, you shouldn't be here." "Mark, look at me. Did you check the accounts?" He flinched. "What?" "The trust fund. Lily's college fund. Did you check it?" Sarah realized what was happening. She rushed over. "Mark, don't listen to her. She's trying to manipulate you again." "Did you check it, Mark?" I pressed, ignoring Sarah's screeching. "Or did Sarah tell you the login wasn't working?" Mark looked at Sarah. Then he looked at me. There was doubt there. Deep, terrified doubt. "Security!" Sarah's lawyer yelled. I backed off, hands up. "Just check the balance, Mark." "That's all I ask." We went into the courtroom. It was a closed hearing, just the family, lawyers, and the judge. Judge Stevens, a stern woman known for zero tolerance of nonsense. Sarah took the stand first. She cried. She told the story of the brave mother protecting her child from the unstable, jealous aunt. It was a compelling performance. "Jessica has always resented me," Sarah sobbed. "She thinks I stole her life because I married well. She wanted to hurt me by taking the only thing that matters, my daughter." Judge Stevens looked sympathetic. "Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan." Then it was my turn. Elena stood up. "Your Honor, we have evidence that contradicts the plaintiff's entire narrative. We request permission to play a video file and introduce digital forensics." "Objection." Sarah's lawyer stood up. "Ambush tactics." "This evidence was obtained yesterday," Elena said calmly. "It goes directly to the credibility of the witness and the safety of the child." Judge Stevens peered over her glasses. "Proceed, but make it quick." Elena plugged in her laptop. She connected it to the courtroom monitors. She played the video from the quarry first. The image was grainy, but the audio was crystal clear. "There is no money, you idiot. It's all gone. The slots, the tables, it's gone." Sarah's face in the courtroom went white, like paper white. She gripped the table so hard her knuckles turned yellow. "I needed Mark's money to fix it, but you and your stupid deepfake weren't convincing enough." Mark stood up. He actually stood up in the middle of the court. "What?" he whispered. "Sit down, Mr. Sullivan," the bailiff warned. Elena didn't stop. She opened the next file, the Ryan folder. She played the raw audio of me saying harmless things to my smart home. "Turn on the lights. Call Sarah." Then she showed the editing timeline, how "Call Sarah" was cut and spliced to form "Call the police." The room was deadly silent. The only sound was the hum of the projector fan and the heavy breathing of my mother. Finally, Elena played the voice note from Sarah to Ryan. "Make it sound worse, Ryan. She sounds too calm. Pinch her if you have to. I need Mark to panic." That was the kill shot. Mark let out a sound that was half sob, half roar. He looked at Sarah with horror. "You," Mark choked out, "you told me she was in danger." "You told me Jessica had a gun." "It's fake," Sarah screamed, standing up. "It's all AI. Jessica made it. She's the tech genius. She made it all to frame me." "Mrs. Sullivan, sit down." Judge Stevens banged her gavel. "She's lying." Sarah pointed a trembling finger at me. "She's the monster. Mom, tell them." My mother looked confused. She looked from Sarah to the screen, then to me. For the first time in her life, the script wasn't working. The golden child was tarnished. Mom stammered. I don't know. Your Honor, Elena said. We also have bank records obtained via subpoena this morning, showing transfers from the Lily Education Trust to Golden Chips Gaming, totaling $400,000 over the last year. Mark put his head in his hands.
Judge Stevens looked at Sarah. The sympathy was gone. In its place was the cold, hard stare of the law. Mrs. Sullivan, the judge said, is this true? No, Sarah shrieked. It's a setup. I'm the victim. Where is the child? Judge Stevens asked the social worker. She is in the waiting room, Your Honor. Bring her in. The doors opened. Lily walked in, holding a social worker's hand. She looked tiny. She saw me, and her eyes lit up. Then she saw Sarah, and she shrank back. Lily, Judge Stevens said softly, come here, honey. You don't have to be scared. Lily walked to the bench. Lily, did your Aunt Jessica take you away? Lily looked at me. I nodded encouragingly. Tell the truth, baby. Just tell the truth. She looked at Sarah.
Sarah was glaring at her, silently mouthing the word, stop. Lily looked at Mark. Her dad was crying. She took a deep breath. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her teddy bear. Mommy put the makeup on me, Lily whispered into the microphone. The courtroom gasped. She said it was a game, Lily continued, her voice gaining strength. She said we had to trick Daddy to get the gold coins back. She said Auntie Jess was the bad guy in the game. Sarah lunged. It happened so fast. She lunged toward the child, screaming, "You ungrateful little brat, shut up!" The bailiff tackled Sarah before she got 3 steps. "Get off me!" Sarah screamed, thrashing on the floor. "It's my money. It was my money to spend. I deserved it." Mark ran to Lily, scooping her up, shielding her from the sight of her mother being handcuffed. I sat there, watching the chaos, watching my parents weep as their golden idol crumbled into dust. I looked at Elena. She smiled and closed her laptop. "Checkmate," she whispered. But as the bailiffs dragged Sarah out, screaming obscenities at me, I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel joy. I felt relief. Heavy, exhausting relief. And I felt a strange sense of finality. The family I knew was dead. My sister was going to prison. My parents were broken. But then, Lily looked over Mark's shoulder at me. She gave me a tiny, wobbly wave. And I realized the family was dead. Long live the family. The heavy oak doors of the courtroom slammed shut, cutting off Sarah's screams, but the sound seemed to echo in the hallway like a phantom frequency. Silence didn't fall. It crashed. I stood there, leaning against the cold plaster wall, trying to catch my breath. My hands were trembling, not from fear anymore, but from the adrenaline crash. It's a strange thing, winning. You expect fireworks. You expect a parade. But when you win a war against your own flesh and blood, there is only a vast smoking crater where your family used to be. Mark walked out of the courtroom a few minutes later, carrying Lily. He looked 10 years older than he had that morning. His expensive suit was rumpled, his tie loose, his eyes hollowed out by a grief so profound it was hard to look at. He wasn't just a man who had been lied to. He was a man who realized his entire life was a stage prop for a narcissist. He stopped in front of me. Lily had her face buried in his neck, clutching that brave little teddy bear. "Jess," Mark croaked. His voice was raw. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything, Mark," I said softly. "Just take her home, change the locks, and check every single financial account you have, not just the trust fund." He nodded, a jerky, robotic motion. "I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. When she called me about the ransom, I should have called you first." "She made sure you couldn't," I said. "Go. She needs her dad." He walked away, a broken man trying to be strong for his daughter. I watched them go, feeling a pang of pity. He was a victim too, even if his blindness had enabled her for years.
Then the other doors opened. My parents walked out. I straightened my spine. I expected shame. I expected apologies. I expected them to run to me, hugging me, thanking me for saving their granddaughter from a monster. I was so naive. My mother, Linda, marched right up to me. Her makeup was streaked with tears, but her eyes were dry and furious. She gripped her purse like a weapon. "Are you happy now?" she hissed. I blinked, genuinely confused. "Excuse me? Are you satisfied?" She jabbed a finger at my chest. "You just destroyed your sister's life. You put her in a cage like an animal."
Was it worth it, Jessica? Was your jealousy worth tearing this family apart? I stared at her. The air left my lungs. Mom, she kidnapped her own daughter. She stole $500,000. She tried to frame me for a felony. I didn't destroy her life. She did. She made a mistake. My father, Robert, chimed in, his face red. She was in debt. People make bad choices when they're desperate. You could have helped her. You have money. You could have paid it off quietly. But no, you had to make a spectacle. You had to drag the police into it. She tried to send me to prison for 20 years, Dad, I shouted, my voice echoing in the empty hall. She didn't care if I rotted in a cell as long as she got her payout. How do you not see that? She's your sister, Mom screamed back. You protect family. You don't hand them over to the wolves. Now Lily has no mother. Are you proud of that? You're selfish. You've always been selfish. There it was, the undeniable truth of their dysfunction. In their eyes, Sarah wasn't the perpetrator. She was the victim of circumstances. And I wasn't the victim. I was the snitch. I was the problem because I refused to be the doormat. I looked at them, and for the first time in 34 years, I didn't see my parents. I saw two sad, small people who were terrified of facing reality. You know what? I said, my voice dropping to a calm, deadly whisper. You're right. I am selfish. I am finally selfish enough to love myself more than I love your delusions. Don't you walk away from me, Dad shouted. I'm not just walking away, I said, turning my back on them. I'm disappearing. Do not come to my house. Do not call my phone. If you do, Elena will file harassment charges faster than you can say golden child. I walked out of the courthouse and into the rain. It was pouring. The water soaked my blazer instantly, but it felt good. It felt like a baptism. I was washing off the guilt, the obligation, the desperate need for their approval. I got into my car and just sat there for a long time. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I pulled up my phone. I had hundreds of notifications. The news had broken. Local architect exonerated. Mother arrested in shocking kidnapping hoax. My inbox was full of people who hadn't spoken to me in years, suddenly wanting to be my friend. I deleted them all. Then I saw a text from Alina. Mark just called me. He found something in the safe at their house. You need to see this. It wasn't just gambling, Jess. My stomach tightened. I thought we had hit rock bottom, but apparently Sarah had a shovel. I started the car. The windshield wipers beat a rhythm against the glass. Slap, slap, slap. It sounded like applause. Or maybe it sounded like a clock ticking down to the final revelation. This is the part of the story where you think it's over. The villain is in jail. The hero is free. But real life isn't a fairy tale. The villain leaves traps behind, little landmines waiting for you to step on them long after they're gone. And Sarah? She had left a nuclear bomb. If you've ever had to clean up the mess left by a toxic family member, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's never just one thing. It's an onion of rot. Hit the like button if you've been the one holding the broom while everyone else watches. I see you. I drove to Mark's house. The police tape was gone, but the house looked dark, like a skull with empty eye sockets. I knocked. Mark opened the door.
He was holding a stack of papers, his hands shaking so hard the pages rattled. "Come in," he whispered. "You were right. About everything." I walked into the kitchen. The table was covered in documents. Bank statements, credit card offers, loan applications. "What is all this?" I asked.
I called the forensic accountant you recommended, Mark said, staring at a piece of paper. He did a preliminary sweep. Sarah didn't just drain the trust fund. She took out loans in other people's names. Identity theft? I asked. Yes. Mark looked up at me, his eyes wide with horror. Jess, she took out 3 credit cards in your name 2 years ago. She's been paying the minimums from a secret account so you wouldn't notice on your credit report immediately. I felt a cold spike in my chest. In my name? And mine, Mark said. But that's not the worst part. He slid a document across the table. It was a reverse mortgage application. Look at the signature, he said. I looked. It was a scrawl I recognized instantly. But it wasn't Sarah's name. It was Robert Miller.
My father. She mortgaged Mom and Dad's house, I whispered. Does she have power of attorney? No, Mark said grimly. She forged it. She stole the deed from their safe last Christmas. She took out a $200,000 equity line against their retirement home, and she hasn't made a payment in 4 months. I stared at the paper. The bank logo loomed like a predator. My parents, who had just screamed at me for ruining Sarah's life, were currently living in a house that the bank was about to foreclose on, and they didn't even know it. Sarah hadn't just betrayed me. She had cannibalized the very people who enabled her. She had eaten her safety net. Do they know? I asked. No, Mark said.
I found the foreclosure warning notice buried in her pile of mail she kept hidden in the trunk of her car. I laughed. I couldn't help it. A dry, humorless laugh bubbled up from my throat. They defended her, I said, shaking my head. An hour ago, they called me a monster, and she stole their roof. What do we do? Mark asked. I picked up the foreclosure notice. I felt a strange sense of power. Not the petty power of revenge, but the absolute power of truth. We don't do anything, I said calmly. We let the mailman do his job. The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings, depositions, and forensic audits. I moved back into my cabin. It took me 3 days to scrub the memory of the SWAT team from the floorboards. I replaced the doorframe they shattered. I installed a new security system, one that even Ryan couldn't hack. Speaking of Ryan, he took the plea deal. Immunity for full testimony. He spilled everything. The deepfake software he used, the text messages Sarah sent him, the promises of a tropical getaway once the ransom was paid. He painted a picture of Sarah that was even darker than I imagined. She wasn't just desperate. She was bored. She treated the kidnapping like a game level she had to beat. But the real drama was unfolding at my parents' house. I didn't call them. I kept my word. But news travels fast in a small town. According to Elena, the foreclosure notice arrived 3 days after the arraignment. I can only imagine the scene. My father, opening the letter, expecting a bill or a sympathy card, and finding out that his golden girl had pawned his retirement sanctuary to play online slots. They tried to call me then. 15 missed calls, Mom. 8 missed calls, Dad. Voicemail. Jessica, pick up. There must be a mistake. The bank says we owe. Please, Jessica, you have to talk to Mark. Fix this. I listened to one voicemail, then I blocked the numbers. Fix this. That was always my role. The fixer. The janitor. But the janitor had quit. Instead, I focused on the impending trial. Sarah pleaded not guilty initially, claiming insanity or coercion, but the sheer volume of evidence, the financial fraud, the forgery, the audio recordings, was a mountain she couldn't climb. Her lawyer, realizing he wasn't getting paid because Mark froze all the assets, dropped her. She was assigned a public defender who took one look at the case file and told her to beg for a deal. The plea bargain hearing was set for a Tuesday in August. I went. I had to. I needed to see it end. The courtroom was packed. This time, the media was there in full force. The coupon mom kidnapper, they called her.
It was catchy. Cruel, but catchy. Sarah walked in wearing an orange jumpsuit. It clashed horribly with her skin tone. She looked gaunt. Her hair, usually dyed a perfect honey blonde, was showing dark roots. The mask was gone. My parents were there too. They looked like ghosts. My father had aged 10 years in a month. He was wearing a suit that hung loosely on his frame. My mother was shaking. They sat in the back row, far away from Mark and me. They didn't look at me. They couldn't. The shame was a physical weight in the room. The prosecutor read the charges: kidnapping in the 2nd degree, extortion, wire fraud, identity theft, 3 counts, forgery, child endangerment. How does the defendant plead? The judge asked. Sarah stood up. She looked at Mark. She looked at me. For a second, I saw a flash of the old Sarah, the arrogance, the defiance. But then she looked at the bailiff standing behind her with handcuffs, and she crumbled. Guilty, she whispered. A ripple went through the room. Speak up, Miss Sullivan, the judge commanded. Guilty, she sobbed. I'm guilty. My mother let out a low wail in the back of the room. It was a sound of pure mourning. She wasn't mourning her daughter. She was mourning the lie she had lived for 40 years. The sentencing phase began immediately. Mark gave a victim impact statement. He was brief. He talked about the betrayal, the fear, the night he thought his daughter was gone. He asked for the maximum sentence. Then the prosecutor looked at me. Ms. Miller, do you wish to speak? I stood up. I walked to the podium. I looked at Sarah. She wouldn't meet my eyes. She was staring at her hands, picking at a fingernail. I had written a speech. I had pages of anger, of childhood trauma, of every birthday she ruined and every dollar she stole. I wanted to scream at her. But looking at her now, shivering in polyester, I realized she didn't deserve my anger. Anger is a connection. Anger means you still care. I folded the paper and put it in my pocket. Your Honor, I said into the microphone, my sister has spent her entire life demanding attention. She demanded our parents' time, my money, her husband's patience. She demanded the spotlight, even if she had to burn down the theater to get it. Today, I am choosing not to give her what she wants. I have nothing to say to her. My only concern is for my niece, who is finally safe from the person who is supposed to protect her. That is all. I walked back to my seat. Sarah looked up then. She looked shocked. My silence hurt her more than any scream could have. I had denied her the drama. I had made her irrelevant. The judge nodded. Well said. He shuffled his papers. Sarah Sullivan, your actions were calculated, cruel, and driven by a level of greed that shocks the conscience. You terrorized your own child for money. You defrauded your parents and your husband. You attempted to destroy your sister's reputation and freedom. He paused, looking over his glasses. I sentence you to 15 years in state prison, with eligibility for parole after 10 years. You are also ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $650,000 to the victims. 15 years, Sarah gasped. 15? But I have a child. I can't be away for 15 years. You should have thought of that before you used your child as a prop in a felony extortion scheme, the judge said coldly. Bailiff, take her away. Mom, Dad, Sarah screamed as they grabbed her arms. Help me. Do something. Mark, please. Mark didn't move. He stared straight ahead. My parents stood up, sobbing, reaching out towards her, but the bailiffs blocked them. Jessica, Sarah yelled, turning her head as she was dragged through the side door. Her eyes were wild. You won! Are you happy? You won! The door slammed shut. The silence that followed was heavy, but it was clean. I looked at Mark. He exhaled, a long, shaky breath. It's over. No, I said, looking at my parents who were huddled together, weeping. Now comes the cleanup. As the courtroom cleared, my father approached me. He looked like a man who had lost a limb. "Jessica," he said, his voice trembling. We didn't know about the house, the bank. They're taking it next week." I looked at him.
I remembered the text. "You are dead to us." "I heard," I said. "We have nowhere to go," Mom whispered, clutching his arm. "We're too old to start over. We have no savings. Sarah, she took it all." They looked at me with those expectant eyes, the eyes that said, "You're the fixer. You're the ATM. Fix this." "Can we," Dad hesitated, "can we stay at the cabin, just for a while, until we get on our feet?" I looked at them, really looked at them. I saw the people who bought Sarah a car when she graduated and gave me a hearty handshake. The people who believed a lie because the truth was too inconvenient. "No," I said. They recoiled as if I had slapped them. "Jessica," Mom cried, "we're your parents. You can't let us be homeless." "You have a pension," I said calmly. "It's small, but it's enough for a small apartment in town. You won't be homeless, but you won't be living with me." "How can you be so cruel?" Dad asked, anger flaring up again. "After everything?" "Because of everything," I corrected. "I love you, Dad, but I am not your safety net anymore. Sarah cut the net, you stood by and watched her hold the scissors. Now you have to land on the ground. If you walk away now," Mom threatened, her voice shaking, "don't bother coming back for Christmas." I smiled. It was a sad smile, but it was genuine. "Mom," I said, "I haven't enjoyed Christmas in 20 years. I think I'll be just fine." I turned around and walked out of the courthouse. I didn't look back. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The first few months of freedom felt strange. It's like taking off a heavy backpack you've been wearing since childhood. You feel light, but your balance is off. You keep leaning forward to compensate for weight that isn't there. Mark sold the big house. Too many bad memories. He bought a smaller place, closer to the mountains, closer to me. He focused entirely on Lily. Lily, she was the hardest part. You don't just bounce back from your mother using you as a pawn. She had nightmares, she hoarded food. For weeks, she wouldn't let go of that teddy bear. Mark put her in therapy with a specialist in child trauma. I went to some sessions with her. One afternoon, about 3 months after the sentencing, I was sitting in the waiting room while Lily was in her session. Mark sat next to me. "She asked about Sarah today," Mark said. "What did she ask?" "She asked if it was her fault, if Mommy went to timeout because Lily told the judge about the makeup." My heart broke. "What did you say?" "I told her the truth," Mark said. "I told her Mommy broke big rules, grown-up rules, and that telling the truth is never wrong. It's the bravest thing she could do." "Good," I said. "The therapist suggests art therapy," Mark said. "She says Lily has trouble verbalizing, but she likes to draw. You're an artist, Jess. Maybe you could help?" I looked at him. "I design gardens, Mark. I draw topography." "It's creation," he said. "It's making something beautiful out of dirt. Isn't that what we're trying to do?" He was right. So I started a project. Not a landscape project for a client, but for us. I cleared a patch of land behind my cabin. I called it the Truth Garden. Every weekend, Lily would come over. We put on gloves, we dug in the earth. I taught her how to plant bulbs. "You have to bury them deep," I told her one crisp October afternoon. "It looks like you're putting them in a grave, right? Dark and cold?" Lily nodded, wiping dirt on her nose. "But they aren't dead," I explained. "They're waiting. They need the dark. They need the cold winter. It makes them strong. And when the sun comes back, boom." "Like magic?" she asked. "Like resilience," I said. We worked on that garden all winter. It became our sanctuary. Mark would come too, chopping wood or just sitting on the porch, finally looking peaceful. My parents moved into a small one-bedroom apartment downtown. I heard through Elena that they were struggling. Not starving, but the country club lifestyle was gone. They had to sell the Mercedes, they had to clip coupons. They sent me a card on my birthday. "Thinking of you. Love, Mom and Dad." No apology, No, we were wrong. Just a generic card, testing the waters. I didn't reply. I learned that boundaries aren't walls. Walls keep people out. Boundaries show people where the door is. My parents could come in, but only if they knocked with respect. They hadn't learned to knock yet. Then one day in early spring, a letter arrived with a prison stamp. State Correctional Facility for Women. Inmate, Sarah Sullivan. I held the envelope. The paper felt gritty. I sat by the fireplace. Lily was drawing at the kitchen table. I stared at the letter. I wondered what it said. Was it an apology? A plea for money? A curse? Open it, a voice in my head said. You need closure. No, another voice said. You have closure. Closure is a locked gate. I stood up and walked to the fireplace. The flames were dancing, hungry and bright. What you doing, Auntie Jess? Lily asked. Just cleaning up some trash bug, I said. I tossed the unopened envelope into the fire. I watched the edges curl. The paper turned brown, then black. The ink vanished. Sarah's name disappeared in a puff of gray smoke. I didn't feel curious. I didn't feel sad. I just felt warmth. Auntie Jess, Lily yelled. Come look, come look. I ran to the back door. Lily was standing in the garden, pointing at the ground. Pushing through the half-frozen soil, vibrant and defiant, was a green shoot, the first tulip. It came back, she cheered. The dark didn't kill it. I hugged her tight, smelling the rain and the earth in her hair. No, sweetie, I whispered. The dark didn't stand a chance. They say the best revenge is living well. I disagree. The best revenge is forgetting the person who hurt you even exists. I stood on the podium, adjusting the microphone, but this wasn't a courtroom. It was a gala. The room was filled with donors, artists, and community leaders. Behind me, a massive banner read, The Lily Foundation, Healing Through Art and Nature. Thank you all for coming, I said. My voice was steady, strong. A year ago, my life was turned upside down. I was accused of a crime I didn't commit. I was betrayed by the people who were supposed to love me. I paused. I saw Mark in the front row. He smiled at me. Next to him sat Lily, looking like a princess in a yellow dress, doodling in a sketchbook. But in that darkness, I found a truth, I continued. I found that family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by who stands beside you when the SWAT team kicks down your door. It's defined by who believes you when the world calls you a villain. Applause rippled through the room. I used the settlement money from the defamation lawsuit against the tabloids to start this foundation, I said. We build therapeutic gardens for children in the foster system. We give them a place to dig, to plant, and to grow. We give them back the control that was stolen from them. I looked at the crowd. I felt a surge of pride that had nothing to do with ego. We can't choose where we come from, I said, my eyes misting up. We can't choose our parents or our siblings, but we are the architects of our own future. We can design a landscape that is beautiful, even if the soil we started with was rocky. Thank you. The applause was thunderous. After the speech, I mingled. Alina was there, sipping champagne. You crushed it, Jess, she said. By the way, I got an update on the appeal. Sarah's appeal? Denied. Alina grinned. The judge ruled that the evidence was overwhelming. She's serving the full 15. Good, I said. And I meant it. No malice, just a fact. Like the weather. It's raining. Sarah is in prison. The sun is shining. And your parents? Alina asked gently. Dad called yesterday, I admitted. He wanted to know if I could get them tickets to the gala. Said it would be good for the family image to be seen supporting me. Elena rolled her eyes. Please tell me you laughed. I told him tickets were $500 and sold out, I said, and that he could watch the live stream on YouTube like everyone else. We both laughed. It felt good to laugh about them. They weren't monsters under the bed anymore. They were just people. Flawed, sad, distant people. Later that night, back at the cabin, I sat on the porch swing.
The summer air was filled with fireflies. Lily was inside, asleep. Mark had gone home. It was just me and the mountain.
I thought about the journey, the fear in the interrogation room, the heartbreak in the courthouse. The moment I realized I had to be the villain in their story to be the hero in mine. It was worth it. Every tear, every dollar, every sleepless night. Because I didn't just save Lily. I saved myself. I picked up my phone. I opened the camera. I started recording. Hey everyone, I said to the lens, to you, the audience who has been listening to this crazy saga. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for listening to the story of how my sister tried to frame me and how I fought back. I leaned in closer. If you are watching this and you feel trapped, if you are the ATM of your family, the scapegoat, the one who always has to fix everything, listen to me. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to let them fall. I smiled. You are not responsible for their chaos. You are only responsible for your peace. So build your garden, plant your truth, and watch it grow. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And comment the letter A below if you made it all the way to the end. You are the real ones. Subscribe for more stories, and remember, the best view comes after the hardest climb. Goodbye.